What up, my favorite listeners? So I am back with So I Resigned Part 2 episode. It's been a little bit over a year now, a year and some change. And I am coming onto this mic just, I would say a bit apprehensive still with life. Now this comes and goes, this feeling comes and goes. I think most consistently I've been feeling very in tune and very much above the realism circumstances that take place in this earthly realm. Doing so has allowed me to tap more into myself spiritually and even be able to see things as they are, as opposed to how people are attempting to as opposed to how it's perceived. As opposed to the limitations that are being presented to me, I've been able to see above that. And my goal in this stage of my life is to stay in that space, for that to be the consistent space that I'm in, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm interacting with. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this part 2 of the episode. So I Resigned. Hey guys, this is Maquita Donyel of Polished Pistol, and you have reached my podcast, Life Things. Here we talk about the things that happen in life, whether it be ups or downs, or moments in our lives that feel like they're going sideways. Most importantly, here we are safe, here we are free, and authenticity is the name of the game. Dude, I have a podcast. This is gonna be fun. All right, let's start here. So it's interesting. Like, wow, one thing, I think that was probably the biggest thing that was happening in my life at that point. I was clearly being redirected. Some of the other things in the background were still happening, but not as intensely. Thankfully, God has allowed things to happen intensely a little bit at a time. In the moment, it doesn't feel like a little bit at a time. It feels like everything's happening at once, but I'm able to recognize, even if it may feel differently, that God's really allowing one thing to intensely happen at a time. And I'm really grateful for that. With that being said, where do I start? I feel like it's my goal, like I said in the very first episode, to speak as honestly and organically as possible so that those that are going through life in this moment get a real sense of some like just love and guidance and just support, just based off of commonality, right? Just based off of knowing someone else feels, understands, or is going through the same things that you are. I will say that in this uprooting of things, which I believe has been happening for a while, but Christian-based tarot card reader Miss Debbie, she explains it as there's an imbalance that, having been a survivor of abuse and having been a survivor of a narcissistic abuser, there's a lot that comes with that. It's a blessing in disguise because it has allowed for a lot of growth. I think a lot of times we want to run past and around and over something, and we just got to go through it if we want to be. This is what I've learned, right? Like, if I want to be this person that God is calling me to truly, it requires me to go through these different things, right? Go through challenges and wins and disappointment and uprooting of things. And in this walk where it's truly, truly God-led, which is my favorite thing to lean on, the most stable thing to lean on. In that, though, it requires that I go through things, go through unpleasant interactions with people, go through extremely pleasant and supportive ones. Because when you're going through something, you then, again, if you allow for all of the tools that God has placed around you and in front of you, if you use those tools, utilize them effectively, then other things are born and grown from the experience that you're going through. And if you just hopped over the whole experience, there's like a whole chunk of other necessary things that need to occur. You're just skipping over, like relationships that need to be built, conversations that need to be had, and experiences that need to be experienced between you and whomever else is in that stage. That, of course, it's like it'd be much easier just to jump over, but the thing is it's impossible. It's impossible to come out as the person that you need to on the other end without going through it. And so instead of dreading going through it, and I'm speaking to you, and I've said this over and over again to myself, right? This is a practice, but instead of this fear and dread of going through it, embrace it. When it hurts, allow it to hurt. And when you're led to be open and hold arms with people, allow yourself to be open and allow yourself to hold arms with people. Now, as someone that is, I would say traditionally conservative, I think that I was far less conservative as a child. And I was just, as many of us were, just myself. And then things happen in life where you learn, like, oh, myself isn't accepted in this space unless it's like this, right? And so then over the years, over and over again, you become an adult. And especially as a Black woman in America, I mean, everybody has their different walls they have to put up in order to survive whatever it is they're going through, or they think they need to put up in order to survive. I guess that's the lie. I recognize the truth in needing to do and operate in certain spaces a certain way in order to advance. I'm very familiar with that, trust me. But I can't tell if this is a luxury or if I would have just done this throughout the entirety of my life, what the result would have been, because I'm raising my daughter to be this way from a child, right? So that she doesn't have to then unpack things as an adult to get back to who she is, who God has created her to be. But I'm finding now, I'll say, possibly I have the luxury of being able to just be myself. Either I could have just been myself all along, and I say that very lightly because I just know I've seen in my own experience, my own life experience with family members, that in being a Black woman in America, it's just not accepted in certain spaces unless you conform to certain ideals, certain looks, and even a certain language. I recognize that because of how I was raised, my ability to move into spaces, in and out of spaces very seamlessly, and because of the environment that I grew up in, being used to being discriminated against and being used to diverse groups, being used to constantly having to navigate my way through people with different and opposing views. And so in resigning from all of those things that I had mentioned in the part one, I was resigning to anything that was not of myself, and of like spaces that wouldn't allow me to be myself without giving away a piece of myself to conform to whatever it is that they believe to be right or better, so I can be a better vessel for God and be a better human for other people. Because that's why we're here. We're here as a puzzle piece to a much larger puzzle, and we can either choose to be a blessing piece or a piece that is causing just mere distraction to others and used to help the ones that are going to be a blessing to others, just used to help make their story that much more meaningful and more grand, and therefore a beautiful reflection of who God is. I think those are the options. Either we be the blessing and we touch the appropriate people that we're meant to touch on this earth so that the story can continue in this beautiful, grand way, or we choose to be the antagonist. We choose to be the person that causes the mayhem that only makes the blessing stronger. Because a person that chooses to be themselves, that light, that reflection of who God is, that just is. That's going to be the case regardless. They are going to be that person regardless. And so either you become the person that is used to challenge them so that they can come up on top, or you're going to be someone that adds value to that. Either you're going to be something, a bridge they needed to walk over, or you're going to be the person holding arms with them, giving them support to cross that bridge. So, with that said, it's been over a year. The particulars of my situation are as life things with Maquita Donyel. Will be right back after this commercial break. Paint and Poetic Prose is live now. Paint and Poetic Prose is live. Paint and Poetic Prose is live. Okay, so to be fair, we've always been live. We've always offered live sessions, and y'all have been booking them. However, we are now also offering in-person live sessions. We have certain parameters put in place that are outlined on our website to ensure that both you and we are kept safe. We are available to see y'all in person. Also, we got some new stuff. It's new things popping. New things popping. New things popping. New things popping. So, number one, another new thing that we have on the website and that we now have available at Paint and Poetic Prose are paint and poetry sets that you can do on your own time. You do not have to be a part of a session, a scheduled session. You can simply order a box, have it shipped to your home. It is not live, it is pre-recorded, and that way you have the flexibility to do it whenever it works out for you. Number two, and you can now subscribe to Paint and Poetic Prose. If you subscribe, you receive a discounted rate. You receive free shipping. Every box is different. Every poetry piece is different. Every paint instruction is different. We've also started adding various Black-owned self-care products to our boxes. Did you know that? Well, now you know that. And you can sign up to receive either a box a month, or you can choose to receive it seasonally. That's 4 times a year. You can also choose to receive it every other month. So that would be for 6 months out of the year. All of that information is available on paintandpoeticprose.com. The link is in the description of this podcast. Now, if you don't know what Paint and Poetic Prose is by now, I will go ahead and give you a little brief introduction, followed by some reviews. And this moment right now, wherever you are, pull over, take a moment, write it down, put into your Safari or your Google Chrome browser, paintandpoeticprose.com. We're also on the Instagram at Paint and Poetic Prose. Yeah. Amongst all of the unfortunate times that we're experiencing in this country and in the world right now, me and my best friend decided to come together and join forces under Paint and Poetic Prose. Paint and Prose? Isn't that like a paint and sip? Yeah, but better. Paint and Poetic Prose is the virtual something different that you've been looking for. We bring a open mic-like experience and a paint and sip-like experience. We bring them together and we bring them online so that you can choose to either join a general class and meet new people, a private session with just you and your closest friends and or family locally or around the country. And we are now offering in-person sessions again. All attendees will receive personalized packages delivered directly to their door and or whatever the address it is that they provide. If you are hosting your own birthday event, you no longer have to worry about party favors, entertainment, any sort of cleanup. Nope. Just bring your own cake. We're the entertainment. We're there to interact with your guests. And also with their personalized packages, it's like they're receiving a favor from you directly. We also do other holidays, work events. If you are missing happy hour with your coworkers and friends, this is the place to book something different. On Zoom, we all meet in the same room and have an experience, a virtual, unique, relaxing, calming, and authentic, most importantly, an authentic experience together. Janelle Jordan, the professional visual artist, truly one of the most talented and beautiful artists I know, will walk you through a very unique art piece that's simple enough for people like me, the non-visual artist, to grasp, but also leave with feeling like we made something that's unique and special to us, because she teaches you how to kind of add your own flair to it. We're painting on wood, we're painting with alcohol, and I have the pleasure of delivering the correlated poetic pieces while also moderating the associated discussions. The poetry pieces are relatable on a somewhat universal level, but they're deep. They give you all the feels. They'll feed the mind, feed the soul, and if you allow them to, they will feed the conversations if you just open up a little bit. And people always do. They always do. So originally, we were only working with 4 themes. We now have 12 themes available. We're dealing with leather, lace and ruffles, water, air, you name it. If you're a Zodiac lover, this is right up your alley. All right, it's your turn. Go to the website right now. Open up a new tab, open up Safari, Google Chrome, wherever you are. Stop what you're doing. Go to www.paintandpoeticprose.com. Explore the options available. If you do not see a date and time that works well for you, hit us up, send us a message, but go to it right now. Here are some of the things that previous attendees had to say about their own experience.
I was a little bit kind of intimidated in the beginning because I don't know anyone in the group, but I really felt, of course, I felt really welcomed, and it was a very warm group of women. Sometimes it's really hard, if you don't know people, but that's really great. So I think that the format of just being, by yourself participating is also such a great idea. And I'm not sure if you're just limiting this to women, Maquita Donyel, but I thought that this particular format is really very, it's very powerful to me, because I think that while everyone's struggling, I think that we have unique struggles as women. So I really appreciate this. So thanks for inviting me.
Just getting this little snippet, I'm like, I want more. This is definitely something to look forward to for today.
Yeah.
For me, this has been a great experience just because I'm a girl's girl. I love meeting amazing women that are unapologetically themselves. And they like to share and be vulnerable and be strong and be funny and be emotional all at the same time. I know that as women, as wives, as sisters, as friends, as mothers, as business women, so many times we forget to take a moment for ourselves. So I want to thank each of you for taking those moments this evening to share that time with us, because we spread ourselves so thin many times.
And to have the opportunity to just relate to other women in a really spiritual and artistic and calming. I mean, every time you read a poem, I closed my eyes and I just heard it. I didn't look at anything. I just was listening to it. And every time Janelle painted something, I was eyeing it. So it's like this really interesting juxtaposition between all of the senses of listening to something and taking it in without seeing anything, creating your own photograph in your mind, and then opening your eyes and creating something that's actual tangible art. I think you guys are onto something that people are going to need more and more.
Please. Thank you so much, everyone, for your stories, for sharing your time, your energy. It's just been good vibes this evening.
Hope we can grow this community and make it amazing, because I think it's really important.
We are all trying to get it together, honey. We are all trying to get it together.
Yeah.
We are doing the best we can.
The website again is www.paintandpoeticprose.com. We can't wait to meet you. It's been over a year. The particulars of my situation are as tapping into a higher realm so that I can not be distracted by the realism and the limitations that are available in this earthly realm, because it can be very limiting. It can be so distracting. Those things that you need to heal from and the people that you need to let go of and the hurt and the pain that you need to let go of, honey, let it go, because it hurts far less letting that stuff go than it does staying in it. I mean, you can decide to just make the most out of your time here and assume that this is it, or you can tap into a deeper space and a deeper place and, gosh, build these beautiful, genuine, extremely fulfilling relationships and connections with other people. Being able to tap into and communicate spiritually with other people and see bigger, it's invaluable, to say the very least. It's very uplifting. It's very uplifting because there's just some things that you go through in this world and it doesn't make sense. And somehow in that realm, when you surround yourself with those people, maybe it makes sense, it doesn't make sense to anybody, but it's something about having those people around and you being in that same space, like a healthy, non-toxic, fruitful, godly, spiritual realm space, surrounded by your physical and spiritual guides, your God-led guides. Something about that helps you get through those moments. Because you can't go around, you can't go above. Not if you want it to be real. You have to go through it. And that's the only way to get through it, is by relinquishing all of those layers that you've rightfully so have had to put on top of yourself in order to help you navigate this world and the stage that you were in to get you to this point. But that's not a way to live, not long term. You don't want to live that way long term. Unless you don't mind the pain and bitterness and anger, unless you don't mind this idea of living in a world that doesn't actually truly exist, it's just the one that you've created, where you're constantly blaming other people for what happened to you and what's happening to you. You're not holding yourself accountable for your actions, and everybody's an enemy, right? Especially if they disagree with you. You have to stay rooted. You have to stay rooted in God, and because God's the one that created you. He's the creator of all of these things and people. He is your ultimate guide to understanding you and everything else around you. And so if you stay rooted in that, then you're able to see those people for what they are, and you're able to trust. That's the other thing, is trust yourself. Trust that intuition, honey. Trust it. That inkling, the chills up your spine, and sometimes the words that you're even verbalizing out loud, the words that you're saying out loud, you're outwardly expressing the things that you need to listen to. Don't ignore it, because there is an alternative. I think the final alternative I saw is when you choose not to heal. It is not a pretty sight. It's physically appalling and spiritually appalling. You can go from recognizable to completely unrecognizable. I saw that this summer as well, where it's just like, man, like I don't even recognize that person, and they're just so angry, and the anger is bursting at the seams. It's like bursting out of their skin, just angry and bitter and just hateful. That's the alternative to not choosing to heal what hurts you. You leave whatever it is that they did to you, you leave it with them, and whatever that's broken within you that needs to heal from it, you take the time to do the work to heal from it. I don't know where my phone is. I felt all this on my spurt, and so I had to just come right over to the mic and let it all out. But I think all in all, though, this life is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's allowed me an opportunity to work with someone where I get to actually just show up to work and do my job. It's crazy. Like I don't have to do all the things that I had mentioned in part 1 that were an expectation of me simply because of how I looked and whatever conscious or unconscious biases they had. It's allowed me the space to be able to tap into this other realm. It's allowed for me to acknowledge those in my life that are a blessing. And even with those that I have to maintain distance from because our paths just no longer cross per se, but because of where they did cross, I'm able to recognize that the authenticity in that when it did, and enjoy that support from a distance. Also able to, most importantly, like recognize the people right in front of me, which I recognized them already before, but I was able to make room to let new people in. And when you're really operating and being present, which is, I feel like, a whole other topic I hadn't really inserted into this conversation or this podcast episode as of yet, but allowing yourself to be fully present allows things to happen organically, where you don't have to try to strategize. Nope. You just be. And that way you don't miss anything. And it's so much more fun that way. And sometimes it's just so much more doable that way. Like sometimes it's just not doable trying to strategize, because you're trying to work and operate in two different realms. Like you're trying to manage this whole world thing and a spiritual thing. And so from my experience anyways, I say a lot of you, but really it's me just operating in one space, being very present, has allowed me to just really enjoy life, because not being present and being caught up in those things that are thrown at you to distract you, to knock you off your path, to knock you off of where it is that God is leading you. If you get caught up in those things, you're unable to live. You're unable to love the beautiful things right in front of you. Right now, I'm looking at this beautiful city and the light touching the leaves. It's so beautiful. The fact that I'm able to see that as I'm recording on my laptop, this view and this window and the sky. Oh, it's just such a beautiful day. Like all of that's a blessing. Being able to breathe and be healthy and laugh. It's just such a beautiful thing. And so earlier my daughter had come into my room, and I was in the middle of a thought. So I'm like, you got to come back. But she's here right now. And it's another thing that I'm just so grateful for. Such a beautiful light that's in my life. And watching her grow and experience all of that, it's quite lovely. You hear me, girl?
Yeah.
I love you. How are you feeling today?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm tired. I want to shower.
Oh, yeah. That's important. Showering. I feel like in the shower, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's just really like, you can have those moments of like, that's the only word I got for it. What's something that's really, really bright and beautiful in your life right now?
Mine?
Yeah. Come closer. Just one thing. Just one. Not a list. Me.
Yeah.
Ah, there we go. All up in your grill. You really feel like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's really sweet. Why?
'Cause you're always bright and you're always beautiful.
What, child? That was some.
I said because you're always bright and you're always beautiful.
Really?
Yeah. So
Always?
you're something bright and beautiful in my life. Done.
Done. Easy peasy, done. That's really sweet, Mama. Thank you. I don't even feel always bright and beautiful. Yeah. It's nice to hear that you see me that way. Even when you're mad at me or annoyed or frustrated. Look at that. That's a whole blessing. That's all I gotta say on this topic, homie. I think I recorded like I Resigned Part 2 like 3 other times. At some point I would like to go listen to those again, because they were more like 6 months out, 8 months out. I'm like, what was going on then? But I'm a year and a half in, homie. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I couldn't have gotten to a year and a half if I didn't get to day 1 or day 2 or month 1. If I didn't keep taking those like little leaps and being obedient when I was being called to do something and to listen. I want to close with this. Take a moment to picture your life. What is it? Picture your life now and picture what you want your life to look like. Again, be honest, be vulnerable, be authentic, be real with yourself. What do you want your life to look like? Take out a notepad, a journal, a planner, whatever it is that you use, a paper. If you use nothing, a card, whatever is in front of you, the back of something that you can write on. Write out, what do you want your life to look like? What do you want it to look like? Like if you could just plan it out overall. I want it to have this and look like this. I want to feel like this. I want my days to look like this. And then you break that down. What do you want your days to look like? What do you want your weeks to look like? I want to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I don't want to work 8 to 5. I want to make this amount of money. Write all of that down. Make what you want in this world, make it real. Make it real. And it only starts by like taking that moment to actually even identify what it is that you want. Figure that part out. And I'll see you for part 3. Somebody's back.
Oh, I am all messed up.
All right, you all have a beautiful week. I'm going to close this out in prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this beautiful, glorious day. I thank you for the blessings that you have blessed us with. I thank you for the light and love that you surround us with through people and within ourselves. I thank you for gifting us that before we even made it to this earth. And I ask that you please provide us all with the tools to feed that light and to feed that love and to feed that pure self, that person that you created and destined for this stage in earth, for this time on earth. I pray that you please well equip us and that you remove everything and anything that is preventing us from being our most pure self and operating in that, because we are all a light, we are all a blessing. We are all beautiful. We just don't always recognize it or know it or take the time to actually feed that, and feed that in a real way, not in a surface, arrogant way, but in that deep soul way, so that we can all be lights to one another, so that we can all lift up one another and positively and lovingly impact one another with the tools that we have learned and gained in our own individual paths, because that's what it's about, right? Us following our individual paths, because those are special, they're unlike anybody else, and using what it is that we learn to help somebody else, because we're the only people that can give it to them and vice versa. They're the only people that can give it to us. And so I ask that you please assist us all hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, during our time here, to constantly do the work to be those people, to become those people, to become ourselves, so that we can positively and so that we can authentically help one another until this final story is complete. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of our episode. I am so glad to have you all here with me. And yeah, check out the next one. I hope you enjoyed it, but most of all, I'm very happy with it. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, homie. Because when it's real and when it's authentic and when you're happy with what you're putting out there and it's rooted in your purpose, it's bound to connect with those that need to connect with it. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to create and connect with you. This is Life Things with Maquita Donyel of Polished Pistol. You can follow me on social media at Maquita Donyel. That's on Instagram, Facebook, etc. You can follow future blog posts and check out the old blog post on polishedpistol.com. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.